All right, welcome everyone to a webinar with Amazon and Metaltoad. I'm Nathan Wilkerson. I'm the VP of Engineering with Metaltoad. Joining me today is Ajit Kumar, who is a Senior AIML Solutions Architect with AWS. I'm going to go over a brief introduction of Metaltoad. We're going to go over training models with SageMaker. I'll have a case study on SecuriToad and then a little bit section on POC funding. We'll try to have some time at the end for some Q&A. If you have questions in the meantime, go ahead and put them in chat and we'll answer them as we can throughout the presentation. So Metaltoad is a full service cloud consultancy with AWS. We've had many customers like Daimler, Siemens Gamesa, and Klaviyo, and we've helped them solve complex data and analytics problems. If you enjoy this webinar, please join us on April 2nd as we go over tech extract tips and tricks. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Ajit to go over what is SageMaker.
Thank you, Nathan. Let me just pull up my slides.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. So I hope you can see the right screen here. Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. Let me just move all these things away. Sorry about that. Oops. Yeah, hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here today and talk to you all about Amazon SageMaker, which is one of our most popular AI ML services out there. And so it probably began way back in 2017. That was when it was first launched, and it has come a long way. And in whatever 15 or 20 minutes we have today, I'll try to give you a condensed version of what SageMaker is all about, and maybe give you a flavor of all the depth and breadth that SageMaker can cover in terms of your AI and ML journey. So SageMaker is a fully managed service, as some of you who have used it have probably noticed. It brings together a broad set of tools that enables you to build high performance machine learning models for your applications at low cost. So with SageMaker Studio, which is an integrated development environment, ML engineers, data scientists can easily train, test, and deploy, manage their models at scale. And as part of the SageMaker IDEs, many of the popular IDEs that we support, including Jupyter Lab and RStudio, we also have our own IDE called Canvas, which is a no-code machine learning user interface, which is well suited for business analysts. And practically with no experience, you can build, train, deploy machine learning models, and evaluate them and get them out the door with very little effort. SageMaker JumpStart is another popular service that we have, which is essentially a model hub, which provides hundreds of mostly foundation models, which are really gaining popularity now in the era of generative AI. And with ready-to-use Jupyter notebooks that can be just clicked and deployed, you have the ability to evaluate foundation models, fine-tune them, and basically iterate in a closed loop fashion with the help of some of our other machine learning DevOps services that we have. We also have SageMaker Ground Truth, which is the most comprehensive human-in-the-loop service that you would find. And as part of Ground Truth, you have data generation, annotation, labeling capabilities that come out of the box. With SageMaker, you get a fully managed ML infrastructure, and these are hardware accelerators, CPUs, GPUs from NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, and of course, Amazon's own homegrown chips, Trainium and Inference, which are purpose-built to deliver high performance at low cost. I briefly mentioned about MLOps. With SageMaker, you have built-in MLOps capabilities, which help you build repeatable workflows for all phases of your machine learning life cycle, from data preparation, model training, fine-tuning, to deployment and monitoring the model as it goes out into the real world to service inference requests. And to kind of wrap all these different services together, we also have ML governance tools, which are very important in today's times, especially when responsible AI is so important to organizations. So we will, in the next few minutes, go over each of these different tools to some extent, not cover all of them exhaustively, but we will try to give you a flavor of the key services that we have and some of the features that we have within them. So I mentioned about SageMaker Studio, which is our first which is a one-of-a-kind integrated development environment, which is designed for machine learning engineers, data scientists, as well as business analysts. And so machine learning practitioners can essentially use SageMaker Studio for the end-to-end life cycle. And you start with data preparation. In your notebooks, you can use different data stores for storing of features so that you can reuse them at a later stage. You can use some of the training capabilities that we have. We will see them shortly. You can use hyperparameter tuning, and you have the automatic hyperparameter tuning and autopilot feature that we have, which allows you to basically just feed your data into the tool, and it will just spin up. It will run several iterations across several different types of models and hyperparameters and give you the best model, right? So there's essentially very little effort involved there. And then finally, when you take the model to production, and then you need to monitor it for drift and biases and things like that in the real world. So starting with the data preparation phase, in SageMaker, you have the ability to connect to several other sources. So SageMaker has a tool called as Data Wrangler, which allows you to connect to third-party as well as other databases like Redshift and RDS, Aurora, etc., or even S3, where your data may be residing. And then you can bring your data in, and you can run your entire data engineering, your ETL jobs all in one place. You can analyze your data, you can clean your data, visualize your data. At the same time, you can also look for things like biases in your training data before you even start modeling, right? And we also have support for, oops, did I just jump? Sorry about that, I think. Yeah, we also have support for some of the large-scale processing frameworks like Spark and Ray, which are, again, very purposefully designed for best-in-class performance at low cost. It's also important to have the ability to reuse your features along the entire life cycle, because machine learning is a very iterative process. So in order to do that, we have, of course, the ML ops tooling kind of fitting into every single stage. It cuts through all these stages, and ML ops is, of course, through some of our features like projects, pipelines, and model registry, and so on, which we probably will not have a lot of time to cover, but if you're interested, you can go look it up. So you have kind of prepared your data, and now you're ready to build a model, right? And once you go into the model build phase, then you're looking to have an integrated development environment. So it could be, customers use Jupyter notebooks for their entire machine learning journey, and there are customers who want to do it using, DAG graphs. So there's all kinds of customers out there. Some of them who are doing all of their machine learning within RStudio, and there are others who like VS Code. So we have all these options, and more recently we launched the fully managed VS Code editor on SageMaker Studio. So this is the open source version of VS Code, which you can launch within SageMaker Studio. And it is, again, fully integrated and managed, so you can open notebooks. You can scale your instances that are powering these notebooks on demand. Of course, you only pay for what you use. And something that we also announced over the last few, and we've been kind of iterating and enhancing those features, is the generative AI-powered development experience. And what that means is now you can use Code Whisperer and Code Guru. These are the tools that we have, along with Amazon Q. So these are kind of built into the IDE, so you can boost your productivity using these tools. So these tools will help you to generate code, debug code, explain code, do security scans, and ensure your code quality standards are met. And as I mentioned, in the build phase, you also have access to several hundreds of the pre-built models from SageMaker JumpStart, and these are ready to deploy and evaluate just with a few clicks of your mouse button. And last but not the least, SageMaker has very popular deep learning libraries such as TensorFlow, PyTorch, and Hugging Face containers built into it. So the SageMaker Python SDK has these containers easily deployable using the estimator class. So you already have up-to-date versions of these containers with the latest versions of these libraries and all the other supporting libraries that you commonly use, like Python, Pandas, scikit-learn, and so on. So you can easily pick your containers and get running with your model building. And once you go into the model building phase, you kind of are going. You're going into different modes. So you're probably trying your own models where you have your own code that you were testing. So there's bringing your own code which is supported. There's also ready-made algorithms. So you just bring your data and point your algorithm to the data, and there's also bring your own container, right? So there's a number of options there, and these have been supported in the past. These are not new, but with the emergence of foundation models, obviously we need to kind of be able to support distributed training in really large scale, right? And so for that, we have the SageMaker distributed training libraries, which support model and pipeline parallelism. So these are some of the concepts that people who are familiar with distributed training would be able to relate to. So you can split the model, like really big foundation models, into smaller pieces and get them to run in a cluster of GPUs, and then also kind of shard the data through these different clusters. So there's distributed training there. There's a new feature called smart data sifting that we launched, where you can use SageMaker to automatically sift through the data and just provide the most relevant data that will be used for training. Then there's, of course, the human in the loop aspect of it, where you want to use the right type of data. You probably want to use a curated data set, and this is more relevant in the context of foundation model fine tuning. So there's that, and of course, throughout your journey, you want to improve accuracy of your models. So you want to evaluate models, so we have the model evaluation, which is part of SageMaker Clarify. And last but not the least, as you're doing all these experiments, you want to be able to track those experiments. So there is SageMaker Experiments that helps you do that, take snapshot of different experiments and different parameters or even hyperparameters that you used for a particular experiment. And last but not the least, you also have spot training, which is another interesting feature that we announced a few years back, which helps you reduce the training cost by almost 90%. There's the very similar set of deployment features that we have. I won't go over all of them, but I guess if you've used SageMaker, you're probably familiar with how you can have low latency, high throughput inference using the real-time inference endpoints. And then you have low latency and high throughput, but intermittent traffic type of workloads, where you can use the SageMaker serverless endpoints. And then you also have the asynchronous inference for requests that take very long time to finish, right? And one last type is batch transform, where you want to do offline inference of large batches of data, right? So you have that, the traditional features that we've been supporting. And more recently, we have this new feature called multi-model endpoint, where you can have multiple models running on a single endpoint, right? And for that, we have launched large model inference containers, which is commonly abbreviated as LMIs. What else do we have here? Yeah, I guess the more recent features that we released was the single-click deployment, or a few clicks to deploy any model, right? And you can deploy any model to production just with a few clicks. All right. So I just want to make sure I'm on time here, Nate. How much time do I have left?
A few more minutes.
Okay. So I'll wrap it up quick since we are running short of time. So Clarify, in terms of model governance, model governance is something that we take very seriously, and this is part of the responsible AI initiatives that we have across the board for all the services. So that also includes the aspects of security and model governance. So the main tool that you would want to go for is SageMaker Clarify. So SageMaker Clarify traditionally has always supported NLP and tabular data sets. So you can use SageMaker to detect bias in your data set, like raw data. You can also detect bias in your model once it has been trained, as well as you have features that allow you to explain the model's predictions, right, using Shapley additive methods. And then there is the model monitoring aspect where you deploy the model in production, and then you want to see how the model is performing in real time, right? Is it drifting over a period of time? Because your data is going to change over a period of time, and so you want to make sure that the model is not drifting and it is representative of the data. So Clarify kind of rounds all those features together. And I think in the context of foundation models, we've added a lot more capabilities now for accuracy, bias, and toxicity evaluation. So there's those features as well. And these are like the foundational elements of security that you're probably already familiar with. So we do not use the data to improve the models or share it with model providers. You can isolate your SageMaker service and your other services within the AWS network behind the AWS network backbone. So you don't connect to the internet, you use VPC endpoints for all your connections within AWS. There's data encryption features, and again, several features for foundation models. So before I hand it back to Nathan, just quickly, here's the list of all the common use cases that we see customers building on top of SageMaker. So there's obviously the traditional ones where you're doing churn prediction, doing predictive maintenance, and then there's computer vision use cases as well, mostly deep learning based. And then now there's the emergent ones using foundation models or generative models for image creation, chatbots, and so on. With that, I will hand it back to Nathan.
Thank you very much. All right, so our case study today is on a client called SecuriToad. SecuriToad is offering a SaaS product that analyzes your internet traffic to your website and then will flag suspicious traffic and help you auto block that in real time. To facilitate this, we use SageMaker services such as SageMaker endpoints, SageMaker training jobs, notebooks, and hyperparameter tuner. So to get started, we created a sample data file across many of the different types of websites we were going to support. We built the file out with the feature engineering, selecting the IP address and the other parameters we were going to use. And once we created the file, we were able to create a SageMaker training job, and it would run and output a model into S3. After that, our pipeline automatically creates a model endpoint so that it can be used in production or any environment. Once we had a model working, we knew we could do it better. And so with every model, there's lots of different what they call hyperparameters, which are used to fine-tune how a model works. Using SageMaker hyperparameter tuning, it essentially runs a determined amount of jobs. In this case, we ran 10 to 15. You set maximum time and some other caveats there, and it will go through and train your model running different hyperparameters in the ranges you specified to optimize the output you specified. And at the end, it recommends the best hyperparameters for you. And so using this, we were able to very quickly iterate over this. And it usually would take a data engineer much longer because you'd have to do this manually, train it, evaluate, tweak, train, evaluate. What would have been days or weeks took us a few hours to do with SageMaker. Once we had trained it and had it launched, we were able to build out our model, send it out there, and use it to build dashboards for protecting sites. If you have a model you would like to help get trained, Amazon does have a POC funding opportunity. If you work with a partner like Metaltoad, we can forecast your spend, and then Amazon will pay 10% or up to 25K of that new spend to do a POC. And we can explore your data and tell you what models we can build there and help you solve your business problems. I believe we're out of time, but if there's any last minute questions, you can type them into the chat. Otherwise, everyone have a great rest of your day.